So good evening everyone. Today we are going to talk about the Japanese period of Philippine literature from 1941 to 1945. So we are going to talk about the literary works of Filipino and how Japanese helped them create literary pieces such as poems, stories, legends, different types of literary forms. So we're going to deal with that today. So first of all, we're going to talk about its historical background. It dates back from 1941 to 1945. So the Philippine literature was then again interrupted because the Philippines got colonized again by another country, which is Japan, of course. Philippine literature in English came to a halt, except for the Trinube and the Philippine Review. Almost all the newspapers in English were stopped by the Japanese. This helped the Filipinos, the Filipino writers, in a way that it made them flourish the Philippine literature more, because they were left to focus on our own language, which is the Philippine language. So as you can see below, it is a poster about a magazine titled Liwayway. Liwayway was placed under strict surveillance until it was managed by the Japanese, a Japanese person named Iswira. So I guess this magazine was prohibited because of maybe some provocative themes, because the Japanese people must not have, like, they don't want people to be immersed with this kind of content. So next up we have, so the picture that is shown there, the one in the right, which is Julian Cruz Balsimeda. He was a very popular writer at that time. And the other one alongside him was General Masuro Homa. The Japanese Imperial Army, it represents the intersection of the Filipino literature and the Japanese occupation during World War II. Maybe these people helped the literature become more advanced and broad. It broadened the literary works because they presented new views on literature. So what we have here are the examples of Filipino literature, including poetry, Filipino drama, Filipino short story, Philippine literature in English. And even now, Filipino drama is still a very popular content here in the Philippines, because now we have this thing called teleserye, where we typically explore themes such as love, suffering, and even exaggerated stories. But in this era, poetry was a really popular content back in the day. Also, Filipino short stories, like even from word of mouth, Filipinos are really story enthusiasts, because they talking about people or other people's lives seem to be so entertaining for Filipinos. Okay, so we have these are the different outline forms of Philippine literature. It provides a basic categorization of the literary landscape that we are discussing right now. So Filipino poetry during this period, the common themes of this during the Japanese occupation was nationalism, country, love and life in the barrios, faith, religion, and arts. Nationalism was a very popular topic back in the day because Japanese somehow wants to preach to people that the Filipino citizens that being a nationalist or having a love for their country is a very important aspect of being a citizen of one. So of course it also includes love, because even in that era love still entertains people, because literature before was meant to really entertain and spread news. So here we have an example of a haiku. A fat bee sting me, moths go fly by. It hurts very badly. I do not cry though. They are very beautiful, fluttering around. Ladybugs are red and have black spots on their wings. Experts at flying, the bee flies quickly. It turns around to sting me, then falls to the ground. So as you can observe, this type of poetry doesn't really use rhyming scheme, so it is very unusual for a poem to not have rhyming scheme on them, because the poems we know today are very very rhymey, and they often use wordplay. But in here, maybe this haiku has a deep, more allegorical meaning to its text. Maybe it's not the way we see it, but the way we interpret it. But of course, writing a haiku has a lot of standards, because it has 17 syllables divided into 3 lines. 5, 7, and 5, 5, 7, and 5. Despite of it being short, it has an allegorical meaning with a wide scope. So, haiku is a type of poem that is very popular back in the Japanese occupation.
Atanaga is a type of Filipino poem that is similar to a haiku, but it has its own unique style. It consists of 4 lines, and each line has 7 syllables, making a total of 28 syllables. Unlike haikus, tanaga have a rhyme scheme, meaning that the ends of the lines sounds familiar. They often convey deeper meanings or messages, using symbols or allegories to express emotions or ideas. In simple terms, a tanaga is a short, rhymed poem that tells a story or shares a thought in a creative way. Karaniwang anyo refers to the common or usual form of poetry. This means it follows traditional structures and styles that are widely recognized. It includes familiar patterns, rhymes, and themes that many people use when writing poems. To make it simple, it's the standard way of writing poetry that most people are familiar with. During the Japanese period in the Philippines, drama slowed down because many movie theaters that showed American films were closed. Instead, these theaters started to feature live stage shows. Many of the plays performed were translations of English plays into Tagalog. Some key translators during this time were Francisco Soc Rodrigo, Alberto Concho, and Narciso Pimentel. They also helped create a group called Dramatic Philippines, which focused on Filipino theater. In simple terms, this period saw a shift from movies to live performances. with a focus on translating and adapting foreign plays for Filipino audiences. Here are some of the playwrights. First, we have Jose Maria Hernandez. He is a Filipino playwright known for writing the play Panday Pira. Panday Pira is a historical drama about a legendary blacksmith who forged weapons for the Filipino warriors during the Spanish colonization. Next, we have Francisco Soc Rodrigo. He is a notable Filipino playwright who wrote Sa Pula Sa Puti. This play explores themes of love, social class, and Filipino culture, often highlighting the contrast represented by pula or red and puti or white. Third, we have Clodoaldo del Mundo. He is a respected writer who authored Bulaga. Bulaga is an expression used in the Filipino game hide and seek, similar to saying gotcha. It is metaphorically represents surprise or discovery, and the play likely uses this theme. Fourth, Julian Cruz Balmaceda. He wrote several important plays including Sino Ba Kayo or Who Are You, Dahil sa Anak, Because of the Child, and Higante ng Patay or Giant of the Dead. These works often delve into social issues, identity, family, and human struggles in Filipino society. In summary, these playwrights are significant figures in Filipino literature, each contributing important works that reflect Filipino culture, history, and social themes through drama.
Hi guys, my name is Monarch Lance Ruti Peña. So I will be the one who will continue the discussion with the previous reader. So as you can see the picture, Panday Pira. Panday Pira is a historical play written by Jose Ma Hernandez. It tells the story of Panday Pira, a Filipino blacksmith who became the first cannon maker in the Philippines during the 16th century. So the play highlights his skill, patriotism, and contribution to defending the country during the Spanish colonization. It also reflects the Filipino spirit of ingenuity, courage, and love for the motherland, making the Panday Pira a symbol of early Filipino heroism and nationalism. So, the Filipino short story during the Japanese period. The field of the short story widened during the Japanese occupation. Many short stories, among them were Bugido Batong Bakal, Macario Pineda, Serafin Giningindo, Liwayway Arceo, Narciso Ramos, Endian Gonzalez, Alicia Lopez Lim, Ligaya Perez, and Gloria Guzman. The best writings in 1945 were selected by a group of judges composed of Francisco Iscanciano, Jose Esperanza Cruz, Antonio Rosales, Clodoaldo del Mundo, and Teodoro Santos. As a result of this selection, the following got the first three prizes. The first prize is Narciso Reyes with his Lupang Tinubuan. Second prize, Liwayway Arceo's Uhaw ang Tigang na Lupa. Third prize, Envian Gonzalez, Insod na Yon at Dagat-Dagatan. So, here's the maikling kwento. Lupang Tinubuan ni Narciso Reyes. Unang gatimpala, pinakamahusay na akdang noong 1945. Pumunta si Danding sa probinsya ng kanyang ama at kinilala niya ang kanyang mga kamag-anak at ang lugar. Noteworthy writer of the period was Carlos P. Romulo, who won the Pulitzer Prize for his bestsellers. I saw the fall of the Philippines, I see the Philippines rise in his mother America, and my brother Americans. Journalists include Salvador P. Lopez, Leon Guerrero, Raul Mang Lopez, and Carlos Blusan. Nick Joaquin produced The Woman Who Looked Like Lazarus. Fred Ruiz Castro wrote a few poems. FBS Cancino wrote essays in the Philippine Review. So Carlos Bulusan's work included "The Laughter of My Father" in was from year 1944, "The Voice of Bataan" 1943, Six Filipino Poets from 1942. So, among others, Alfredo Litiaco published with Harp and Sling and in 1943. Jose P. Laurel published verses that make a nation great. The Commonwealth Literary Awards gave prizes to meritorious writers also. So here's a book called the "I Saw the Fall of the Philippines" by Colonel Carlos P. Romulo, who was a personal aide to General MacArthur and also a Filipino editor, Pulitzer Prize winner. So uh, that's all. Thank you.